Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the session today. The topic for today's discussion is Don't Fall Victim to Cyber Attacks. Use PKI and IAM for secure online communications. GlobalSign. GlobalSign is one of the oldest publicly trusted certifying authorities in the world. In short, we are in the business of issuing online identities just to everything. It could be a human being, it could be a server, it could be a machine, it could be anything. We can do that. Myself, my name is Govind Yadav. I am sales engineer for the EMEA region, and I have been working with GlobalSign for about 2 years now. Today, we'll talk about the growing risks for legal firms, possible solutions. We'll talk about a couple of approaches, pros and cons with these approaches, and if time allows, maybe we can do a quick demo as well. In order to talk about the growing risks for legal firms, I will not talk about the statistics, the percentage of legal firms who have been attacked, or the kinds of threats which are being used and stuff like that, which I normally do, but I'm not doing it today in the rest of the time. We will just talk about one information security attack, which appeared in the Telegraph on 16th of May 2015, so it's more than a year now. In this particular attack, what happened is that this family had sold a property, almost £330,000. And while this sale was going on, they were interacting with their solicitors over email, over unprotected clear text email. After the property was sold, the solicitors asked the victims to give them the bank account details so that the proceeds from the sale could be transferred. They replied to the email, giving the bank account details, and the solicitors did the wire transfer. A couple of days down the line, the family realized that the money has not yet reached our account, and they chased our solicitors and they said, well, we paid the money to this account. The victims then said, no, this is not our account. Our account is this. They matched the emails and they were different. They realized what had happened is that while the email was in transit, it was intercepted, the data was changed in that email, and then it was sent out to the solicitors. So what basically happened was the mail was manipulated by the hackers. They put their own account details and they got the money. By the time the victims and the solicitors realized what happened, they reached out to the bank and they got the account frozen. £62,000 had already been withdrawn. The rest of the money was obviously given back to the victims, but the question was that who is liable to pay 62 grand? 62 grand is a lot of money. The solicitor said, no, we will not pay that. We abided by what you had given in the email. The bank said, no, we are just a banker. We are here to just keep your money and give it to whoever you want to. We are not liable. So the debate went on for a few months, and the experts in this particular article in the Telegraph and otherwise suggested and said rather that it's the solicitors who should have paid the money back because they are the intermediary between the victims and the bank. Anyways, that was a debate. What is more important here is to understand that confidential data was sent over an email, which is not a good idea. So what can we do about it? One solution to this is secure your emails. And how you can do that, there are two ways of doing it basically. Before we talk about those two ways, let's quickly touch upon what is digital certificate. So anyone and everyone who needs an identity has a key pair, and then there's a certificate associated with the key pair. Certificates are issued by publicly trusted certifying authorities like ourselves after due vetting process. And what we do in the vetting process, we try and figure out who the user is, whether the applicant is who he says he is. Once we verify that, we issue a digital certificate, and which basically acts like a virtual passport. So a certificate does the same thing in an online world what a passport does in the real world. It helps authenticate you, the user. Once you have a digital certificate, you can take the digital certificate, create an email, sign it, and send it across to the recipient. The recipient gets an email. Usually he will have some icon or some symbol to tell the recipient that it's okay, it's a good mail, you can trust it, there's nothing wrong with it, and the user clicks on that. What you're seeing here is Outlook. Different email clients behave differently. What you achieve with digital signatures is that most important, data integrity. So when you compose an email, and not only email, you can digital sign documents in PDFs and Word or whatever you want. Data integrity means that you cannot change the document or the data after it has been signed. If you do that, this red ribbon would have changed into some sort of warning sign. The same happens with emails, same happens with documents, PDFs and Word. If the Luptons had done this, when the email was intercepted, the solicitors would have got a red signal and they wouldn't have proceeded, they wouldn't have acted on that email. Second you get is non-repudiation. Anyone who signs the data cannot deny later on that I didn't do it. It could be the customer, it could be your solicitors, it could be the bank, it could be the real estate agency, and then many other scenarios. Selling a property is just one of the scenarios. There could be many other scenarios. And third, of course, is authentication. When you sign an email, the recipient knows exactly who it is coming from because you can see the details as I just showed you here on the screen. Digital signatures give you three capabilities. However, the data is still readable. You can still read the data in transit. You can stop, see what is going on, and then you can let it go. If you want to make this data confidential, you can then encrypt the email. This is how you do it. You have the same digital certificate, compose an email, you sign it, and now you take the recipient's public key, encrypt, and send it to the recipient. On the recipient side, he will apply his or her private key and then decrypt the email. Very simple, same process. Instead of just one red ribbon, you would see a blue lock as well. Lock means encrypted, and when you decrypt the mail, you get the details. This is what the Luptons should have done ideally, to sign and to encrypt the email. Anything which is going out from your outbox should be signed, anything confidential should be encrypted. Very simple. However, there's a challenge with this approach. The plus side is, I'll talk about the good things first, is that this can be set up and running in just days time. So all we need to do is to vet a user. Typically takes 1 or 2 days depending upon how fast the vetting can process. Certificate can be issued and it's good to run day 1. Easy to set up. The downside is that what you just saw, signing and encryption, is basically called S-MIME, signing and encryption. Now, the webmail clients, for example, Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, they do not support S-MIME out of the box. For you to be able to sign and encrypt these emails, you need to download a plugin or a software and then configure the software, which is not straightforward, which is basically clunky. Works well for your corporate users who run Outlook, Lotus Notes, or other email clients. However, it does not really work well for your retail users. Only half of the population gets covered. What is the solution to this? The solution to this is the second approach, the second solution. It's called a web portal-based approach. So what we are suggesting here is that instead of sending or sharing confidential information over email, you do that on a web portal. So you create an account for the user logs in, and then he can upload or share confidential information. Not only confidential information, you can even share contracts, legal contracts, whatever different types of data you need to get signed, documents you need to get signed. So you use email only as an alert mechanism. When one party requests information, the second party gets an email alert saying that someone is asking for information, please log on to your portal. You can have secure authentication mechanisms built around the portal. We can support various different technologies. You log in securely, you provide the information, then you log out. When you do this, and you have a large number of users, you would need identity and access management. So you would need to allow the users to log into this tool from one of their own applications. They don't have to open a browser, type the URL. From whatever they're doing, they just click a link and they log in. They click a button and they just log in. So you need something like single sign-on. You want users to log into the system from their own credentials, which they already have. So you need identity federation. And then, of course, you manage these identities. That's where you need an identity and access management portfolio, which someone like GlobalSign can help you with that. In order to further discuss this concept, this approach, I would like to use a quick demo, which is the last part of my session. So I will quickly jump on to a browser over here. And I log on to this tool, which is called SignFlow. It is from one of our technology partners. What I see here when I log in is my dashboard. I can see what is happening, 7 pending, which means I have 7 pending documents. I have documents which are completed, and documents which are in circulation, the documents which were sent to me and I rejected them, and so on and so forth. Let's start with pending. So I click on pending, and I can see all the documents which are there in the list. I click on plus sign, it gives me an audit trail, when the document was initiated, who has asked for it, and stuff like that. It's me, myself, because I'm just doing a testing here. I click on open, and I see the document. It's right there in front of me. and I read the document, the sample agreement, and say, okay, everything is fine. There are 3 signatories who have already signed this before I did. And there are 2 text fields over here. Now this text field now asks signed at. So I can say London, signed on, I say 12th July 2016, 2016. And then I say proceed to sign. I say yes. What is happening now is that this information that I added as text field is being embedded into the document. It becomes part of the document as the document would have created earlier. Once that is done, the document will be ready to be signed, which you're going to see next. Now, the information that I entered over here is visible. It could be anything. It could be bank account details that you're asking your customers, anything, any other piece of information, doesn't matter. And I say sign here. I can draw a graphical signature as well, which is nothing but just to easily show to the readers who signed it, the initials. And what is happening now is that my PKI digital signatures are being applied to this document, and the document is now ready. You can download this document so that you can read it, open it with Adobe Reader, and all your signatures can be validated. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't need to be logged in to this tool to be able to validate your signatures. You can do it through Adobe Reader as well, which is completely free. You can then forward it to other recipients, and whoever is the author initially obviously gets these documents. So I click on that, I click on my dashboard overview, and I see that one document has gone low. I had 7 pending documents, I've got 6, and the number of documents which are completed has gone up by 1. So this is a quick overview, what you can do, what you can achieve with a portal like this. So any other questions you have, I would be happy to take them offline. Thank you all for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice day ahead. Bye-bye.